Hi, fifth grade. I wanted to make a quick video for you guys. Hopefully this will help you some when you start your outlines today. You will use the pages that I had you guys do over the last couple weeks. You guys are going to use those. I usually have section 1 through 5, I think, that you guys completed. So, and the information that's in those sections, as well as you'll have to pull some other information from the resources that you found. You should have found at least 3. And I told you guys that resources online, perfectly fine. Obviously, we can't go to a library. So some of you, I think, the resources I saw for you, some of them were just websites. That's fine. Some of you found ebooks online. That's great. And then some of you were able to order some books. That's also wonderful. So all of those sources, you're going to need that information in the sections on those pages that you guys did. Plus, like I said, you may have to pull some additional information from the sources that you found. All right, page 229 is where I am this morning. And the email that I sent out to your parents in the original email that I sent out about the project, it'll have the page numbers in there. Plus, there's some page numbers in the lesson plans for this week that you guys will be able to pull some information from. I chose this page. It says Sample Preliminary Outline, page 229 in your language book. And this shows us an example of a basic outline. Now, if you read through all the pages that have to do with a research project, and some of the information before that, it talks about a sentence outline or a topical outline. We are doing a topical outline. I prefer a topical outline. It gives you the basic information that you need to make sure that your paper is organized correctly. Okay, you want to start out at basically the beginning of someone's life and sort of go through the end to a point. So today, on page 229, in the sample preliminary outline, it says, read this preliminary outline for a 5th grader's library research project on Billy Sunday to make yours as good. So basically, I want you to follow this outline. This is how I want you to organize your outline. And then from the outline, this is the order that you'll write your paper in. Okay? So, Roman numeral 1, and the format that this is in, please make sure that you follow this format. We talked about this some before we left for spring break, and I know some of you may or may not remember that, but we talked about this before to make sure that everything is lined up properly. That is super important. You will be graded on that, so make sure that you pay close attention to that. So Roman numeral number 1, early life. Early life, and that's exactly what I want you to write. So Roman numeral number 1, that is the heading of that first section. So Roman numeral number 1, and I'll do the best I can since I'm stretching across this board. So early life. Now, that's what you'll write. Underneath early life, letter A, and letter A will line up with the first letter right here in early life. This is the way you'll do every section, okay? So letter A, birth. And this is where you will start filling in the information for your famous missionary. Okay, so under the B in birth, I'm going to have number 1 because these are the details. This is what is going to go into your paper. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how to begin the paper, that type of thing. But you can also go online and look up reports on famous missionaries, things like that. You can look up reports. And no, I'm not asking you to plagiarize, but kind of get an idea of how these are written. There's examples even in your book to look at that. The report on Billy Sunday, as a matter of fact. Okay, so for Billy Sunday, when was he born? Now, it just gives a date here. For most of you guys, you have a specific date. Okay, it might be for your person, whoever your person may be, maybe June 1st. 1928, and I just pulled that number out, okay? So here's your first detail, all right? Your second detail would be where this person was born. Here in your book, it says Agnes, Iowa. Well, your person might have been born in How about, let's just do Jacksonville. Okay. Florida. Basic. Okay. Letter B, you'll write exactly what's in the outline there again. So right underneath letter A, make sure that you follow it down. And now you have letter B. Now you have letter B and their family. And if you notice, those pages that I sent for you guys to fill out, it should basically follow this order for the most part. It should follow this order, and the information should be there so you can flip back through and find a lot of this information right there without having to go back and dig. All right, that was the point of doing those, was to help you start organizing some of this information before you wrote your outline. Okay, so their family lived. They've got details here. As a matter of fact, I'll grab my pages. And let's see, section 1. Yep, date of birth, city of their birth, their parents' names. So family, they may have been raised by their parents. They may have been raised by grandparents or an aunt or an uncle, okay? So here is where you would put their parents' name, okay? Or if they were raised by their grandparents, you could even write that here, raised by grandparents, and then list their grandparents' names, okay? Or aunt or uncles or whatever. And then it'll ask you about, for Billy Sunday, letter B, family. It says lived with grandparents. And then number 2, lived in an orphanage. Okay, so obviously after his grandparents passed, he had to live in an orphanage. Okay, so for example here, it might be their parents. Who was it? Let's say, I don't know. Billy and Susan, just 2 random names, Billy and Susan Jones, maybe. Okay, whoever it is you're writing about. And then number 2, okay, if it doesn't list their siblings, there may be something other significant about where they lived or their living situation when they were young, okay? They may have listed their siblings. It might be Bubba, George, okay, and I don't know, Jane, okay. So, and this is how you're organizing your paper. Then you would go to C, their education. Now notice that there's nothing listed under education on the outline. Many of you guys will have information about their education. Okay, you should be able to find some information for most of them about their education. So under that, there again, you would write education here for letter C, and then you would list those details. 1, 2, maybe 3 for some of them. Where did they get their education? Was it just a high school education? Maybe they didn't graduate. Maybe you could write that in. Number 1 would be their detail. They did not graduate high school, had no formal education, okay? Dr. Livingston pops into my mind. Okay, so he had to have some type of formal education somewhere because he was a doctor. He was a medical doctor. So there should be some information out there at some point that you can look up to find some information about where your person went to school. Okay. All right, so under education, D, childhood experiences or early childhood experiences. There again, most of the people, there'll be some type of childhood experiences. Mary Slessor had a really rough childhood, really rough upbringing. Okay, so there are childhood experiences that helped shape these people into who they became as adults. So just because in this outline on page 229, it doesn't have something listed under education, it may not have something listed under childhood experiences. Again, this is just an outline to help you guys. There should be details under the vast majority, if not all of these basic headings. Okay, under birth, under family, under early childhood, under education, their marriage and their children. Okay, again, most of this information was asked for in those note cards, okay, or those pages that I sent. Okay, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to help you, but hopefully this helps you guys at least get started. And I've given you 2 days this week to work on the rough draft of your outline. And then if you guys need feedback, or if I see something that I know you guys maybe need some help or instruction, then I can let you know from there. But that's what we're working on Tuesday and Thursday of this week, is working on these outlines, getting everything into place, making sure it's all in the right format. Super important. Later you'll get into their achievements, that type of thing. Their achievements, that's Roman numeral 2, and again it'll be lined up under Roman numeral 1. So just make sure everything lines up down the page just like it is on page 229. All right guys, I hope that helps. Let me know if you need me.